in the case of the civil rights movement, but also in the case of the anti-apartheid movement, the churches were absolutely key. And the leaders were pastors, and what started in the churches and spread to the rest of society. What is needed now is an international movement where the churches are playing a major role to delegitimize the current system that's in Israel. And criticism will be, oh, you mean you want to destroy Israel? And my answer to that is, yes, of course. Just like we wanted to destroy South Africa, and the sanctions and the boycotts and the protests were out of hatred for the South African. That movement saved South Africa, and it liberated the whites from apartheid in a different way than it liberated the blacks from what was happening today. That's what's needed. The theology is key because it's a major, major barrier. Even people who are not churched go believe and understand the theology that underlies the idea of the state of Israel. Well, didn't God promise you the land? We can get more into the land theology if people are interested in talking about it. It's my belief is that the Bible, the Old Testament, is tribal. Jesus was a Jewish reformer who came to take what was right and good about the Jewish tradition, which was revolutionary in its context, out of the tribal context and make it universal. And he came and he stood in front of the temple in the last week of his life on earth. And he said, in 3 days, this is coming down. Of course, his apostles didn't understand what he was talking about. And the narrator comes in and says he was speaking of the temple of his body. Physical temple. The kingdom of the Roman Empire becomes body of Christ. A totally spiritual concept, one communion of humankind. That's what Christianity came to be. That's what it was about. And this is what Christianity and Christian Europe and America has to reclaim for itself. It's a commitment to that universal mission. And to put its own house in order. And to suffer pain of the relationships that it has built with the Jewish community over the last 65 years. Of those relationships institutionally and in some sense, in cases also personally, blowing up in their faces. And people say to me, oh yes, I understand, I sympathize. We want to do this, but how do we bring the Jews along with us? And I say, you can't. Live with them. Let us deal with our own problem. Put your own house in order. And it's not about loving the Jewish people. It's about loving Jesus. It's about loving human rights. It's about loving what you know is right. It's about loving the idea of having a future for your children and grandchildren in this world. But if you want to make it about loving the Jewish people, fine. Then love us the way you love your alcoholic uncle or your drug-addicted child who's asking for more money for another fix or another problem and the keys to the car.